I'm going to tell you something that most financial gurus would probably hate. I saved $20,000, and I did it by pretty much ignoring my budget. For years, I was trapped in that classic cycle. Cut costs, feel miserable and deprived, and get absolutely nowhere. It was just frustrating. So I tried something that felt totally radical. I stopped obsessing over every little expense and focused on just one thing: making more money. And what happened next completely blew my mind. I'm going to share the exact steps I took to save more than I ever thought possible without a budget making me feel guilty about buying a coffee. Number 1. The backstory of budgeting burnout. For most of my adult life, I had a one-track mind when it came to money: scarcity. I was a religious budgeter. I had the spreadsheets, the apps, the color-coded charts, the whole 9 yards. I knew exactly where every single dollar was supposed to go. I'd track my morning coffee, stand in the grocery aisle debating name-brand cereal, and feel a little stab of guilt anytime I spent money on something that wasn't a necessity. The advice I'd soaked up from every finance book and YouTube channel was crystal clear. To save more, you have to spend less. So I did. I cut streaming services I actually enjoyed. I started saying no to dinners with friends. I was that person trying to squeeze every last drop out of the toothpaste tube. My whole goal was to shrink my life and my expenses into this tiny little box, thinking that whatever was left over would be my ticket to financial freedom. But it just wasn't working. My savings account was growing at a snail's pace. One single surprise, a car repair, a dentist bill, could wipe out months of my penny pinching. But honestly, worse than the slow progress was the mental weight of it all. I was constantly stressed about money. Every single purchase gave me anxiety. Budgeting was supposed to be empowering, but it felt like a prison. It forced me to stare all day at what I couldn't have. The whole thing was built on a mindset of no, and it was exhausting. I felt like I was running a marathon just to stay in the same place. I was doing everything right, but it all felt completely wrong. Number 2. The turning point, a radical mindset shift. My breaking point came after this one brutal month. I had followed my budget perfectly. I denied myself everything, and at the end of it all, I had an extra $100 to show for it. 100. I stared at my spreadsheet, at all the no's I'd forced on myself, and I just felt this wave of frustration. It hit me. I was fighting the wrong battle. Think about it. When you only focus on cutting expenses, you're playing a game with a hard limit. There's only so much you can actually cut. You still need a place to live, you have to eat, you have to get to work. You can only shrink your spending down to a certain point. Your savings potential has a ceiling. But what if you flip that? What if instead of pouring all that mental energy into micromanaging my spending, I put it all toward growing my income? Unlike expenses, your income doesn't have a hard ceiling. Your earning potential is, in theory, unlimited. That was the big aha moment. I decided to stop playing defense and start playing offense. I closed the budgeting apps, I archived the spreadsheets. I gave myself permission to stop analyzing every purchase. It wasn't about being reckless, it was about shifting my focus from scarcity to growth. Instead of spending an hour trying to save $3 on groceries, I'd spend that hour trying to earn an extra 300. I was done trying to shrink my life to fit my income. I was going to grow my income to fit the life I actually wanted. Number 3. The How-To, Part 1. The offensive strategy on my 9 to 5. First things first, I went after my main source of income, my 9 to 5 job. For years, I just kind of accepted whatever little annual raise they gave me. But now, I was playing offense. It was time to build a rock-solid case for a real pay bump. Step 1 was research. I had to figure out what I was actually worth. I spent hours on sites like Glassdoor and LinkedIn, and I even talked to a few recruiters to get a real sense of what people with my skills and experience were making in my city. This was a game changer. It turned my request from, "Please, sir, can I have some more?" into a data-driven business conversation. Next, I needed to prove my value with cold, hard facts. I started documenting everything. I didn't just list my duties, I quantified my wins. I didn't say I helped on a project. I said I led an initiative that boosted our team's efficiency by 15%, saving the company about $10,000 a year. I found a few key projects where I'd gone above and beyond. One of my strongest points was, over the past year, I brought in 5,000 new leads, which was an 8% increase from the year before and led to $58,000 in new business. Timing was everything too. Instead of waiting for my annual review, I set up a meeting right after we wrapped a huge, successful project. My value was fresh in everyone's mind. I sent an email to my manager saying I wanted to discuss my career growth and compensation, so it wasn't a surprise. In the meeting, I was nervous, but I laid out my case calmly. I started by saying how much I loved my job. Then I walked through my documented wins, tying them directly to what the company cared about. Then I made the ask. Based on my research, I gave a specific salary range that was ambitious but totally backed by data. It wasn't emotional, it was a negotiation. I focused on the value I brought to them, not my personal needs. And it worked. I didn't get the absolute top of my range, but I landed an $8,000 salary increase. That was an extra $667 in my pocket every month, and I didn't have to give up a single thing to get it. Number 4, the how-to, part 2, building new income streams. That salary increase was a huge win, but I didn't stop there. The whole point of my new offense strategy was to build multiple streams of income. This is where side hustles came in. I started with something that offered quick, flexible cash, rideshare, and delivery driving. This was perfect because I could start earning right away. It wasn't a massive hourly rate, but doing it for a few hours on weekend nights consistently added an extra $300 to $400 to my monthly income. While the driving gave me fast cash, I wanted to build something with long-term potential. My background is in graphic design, so I decided to start freelancing. Leveraging a skill you already have is one of the best ways to start a high-paying side hustle. I built a quick online portfolio and started offering my services on platforms like Upwork and Fiverr. There are tons of options out there. Freelance writers can start around $15 to $25 an hour and work their way up to $75 or more. Virtual bookkeepers can also command rates around $75 per hour, helping small businesses. The most exciting thing for me was creating and selling digital products. I designed a set of budget templates, yeah, I know, ironic, and listed them on Etsy. The magic of digital products is you make them once, and they can bring in passive income for months or even years. It started really slow, but after a few months, it grew to a pretty consistent $500 a month with almost no extra work. Some top creators make anywhere from $500 to over $10,000 a month with this model. Between my driving for quick cash, my freelance design, and my digital products, I was bringing in an additional $1,000 to $1,500 every month. Now, I'll be honest, I was hustling to get those results. Recent data shows the average side hustle income in the US is around $885 a month, with the median being closer to $200. So my results were on the high end, but that's my point. Whether you make an extra $200 or an extra $1,200, you're playing offense and growing your income without having to cut back on your life. Number 5, the results, how it all added up. So, what did this all amount to in the end? Let's run the numbers. My $8,000 salary bump added about $667 to my monthly take-home pay. My side hustles were bringing in, on average, another $1,200 a month. That's over $1,867 in extra income every single month. Instead of fighting to squeeze an extra $100 out of my budget, I had built a system that was generating almost $2,000 extra dollars. And here's the best part. I put it all on autopilot. I set up automatic transfers. Every time I got paid, a big chunk of that new money went straight into a high-yield savings account without me even seeing it. I wasn't depriving myself at all. In fact, because my income had grown so much, I could finally afford to go to dinner with friends and buy the good coffee without a shred of guilt, all while saving more money than ever. In just under 11 months, that extra income snowballed. The math is pretty simple. $1,867 a month times 11 months is over $20,500. I had saved $20,000 faster than I ever thought possible, and I was living a bigger, less stressful life in the process. I hit my big financial goal, not by obsessing over what I had to give up, but by focusing on what I could create.